moment. And I want to especially welcome Ambassador Dr. Kenneth Quinn and his wife. Many of you know Ambassador Quinn as the Executive Director of the World Food Prize and is the force behind the great success of the World Food Prize, and we really appreciate his great work. We are very pleased here at Iowa State to host this lecture as part of World Food Prize Week in honor of the prize's founder, the late Norman E. Borlaug. Tonight's lecture is part of an annual statewide series of events, which this year includes 17 World Food Prize lectures at Iowa's colleges, universities, secondary schools, and other venues on various issues of importance in providing a nutritious and sustainable food supply for the world's people. The World Food Prize will be presented this Thursday evening in the Iowa Capitol to the two recipients of the 2010 World Food Prize, David Beckmann and Joe Luck, for their leadership in grassroots efforts to combat world hunger and poverty. And we are deeply honored to have both of them here tonight to present Iowa State's annual Borlaug Lecture. Before we start, I want to acknowledge and thank the sponsors of tonight's lecture and poster competition. Iowa State's Committee on Lectures, funded by the government of the student body, our colleges of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Agriculture and Life Sciences, and Human Sciences, and the Plant Sciences Institute. Tonight, we will hear first from both of our speakers, and after both have finished, they will together then entertain questions from the audience. Our first speaker is David Beckmann. Mr. Beckmann is a Lutheran pastor, an economist, and for the past 19 years, one of the most effective activists for the world's poorest people. After earning degrees from Yale, Christ Seminary, and the London School of Economics, he spent 15 years with the World Bank, learning firsthand about the plight of people in some of the world's poorest nations, when he spent several years living and working in Ghana and Bangladesh. In 1991, he became president of Bread for the World, an interdenominational organization devoted to ending hunger in the United States and abroad. Mr. Beckmann has provided inspirational leadership for Bread for the World, resulting in a nearly doubling of its membership, and today involving more than 1 million people as supporters and volunteers in its programs and activities. He's worked tirelessly with government and elected officials to implement policy changes that have brought millions of people out of poverty and hunger in the United States and abroad. And in 2004, he founded the U.S. Alliance to End Hunger to bring together religious groups, charities, foundations, corporations, unions, and individuals in an all-out effort against hunger worldwide. Please join me in welcoming to the podium David Beckmann.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate your interest in what we can do to overcome hunger. And it's an honor to be at Iowa State. I grew up in Nebraska, but Iowa State is a global leader of agriculture and international development. President Joe Free has strengthened the university in that aspect. I've had the privilege of serving on the advisory board for the Center for Sustainable Rural Livelihoods here at Iowa State. And I've been impressed that the university is, in fact, in one part of Uganda, measurably reducing hunger. And then also engaging the faculty and student body and the constituency of Iowa State in learning there about hunger and what can be done to overcome it. I think the award of the World Food Prize this year to Joe Luck and myself is mainly an acknowledgement that all of us can do a lot to reduce hunger and poverty. So it's not only great scientists, but all of us. Joe Luck at Heifer International has mobilized hundreds of thousands of people in this country to benefit millions of people in this country and around the world, and then also organize them to benefit other neighbors, other people in need. I'm really struck at the fact that the world, in fact, is making remarkable progress against hunger, poverty, and disease. Right now, because of the economy, there's been a big setback in our country and also all around the world. But over the last 2 or 3 decades, we have seen historic progress. So there are 30 million more kids in Africa in school today than 10 years ago. In Latin America, the rate of child mortality is half of what it was 20 years ago. These are just stunning changes for the better and demonstrate the feasibility of reducing hunger and poverty. It's been in all different kinds of countries. Some countries haven't done well, but the countries that have reduced poverty include countries as different as Brazil and Bangladesh and Britain. So I think also as we think about our own country, if Bangladesh can reduce poverty, so can the USA. This is doable. I think in our country we've sort of come to take it for granted that people just are hungry. But this does not need to, and the world's experience over the last 20, 30 years makes it clear that it is very possible to achieve dramatic reductions in hunger and poverty in our own communities and all over the world. I want to talk about Bread for the World, my own organization, as one means by which people like us can make big changes for the better in reducing hunger and poverty in our country and around the world. Bread for the World organizes people to change the politics of hunger. Because to make dramatic changes, you need to change laws and systems. For example, in our own country, many of us are involved in food banks and food charities. I'm curious, how many of you contribute or time or money or help with food banks or food pantries, that kind of thing? So a lot of us are doing this. And that's really important work. It's frontline work. But all of the food charities in the country together provide about 6% of the food that families in need get from the federal nutrition programs. Food stamps, WIC, school lunches, school breakfast, 6%. So if we're serious about reducing hunger in our country, we need to pay attention to those programs and other large-scale programs and policies that affect hungry and poor people. We cannot food bank our way to the end of hunger. So Bread for the World organizes mainly in churches. I think together with Habitat, we're the most broadly interdenominational movement in American church life. We help people make the connections between Jesus and justice for hungry people. And then to weigh in on specific issues in the U.S. Congress that are clearly important to hungry people. We always try to work in a bipartisan way. And we win